Okay, so AI is moving at this absolutely breakneck pace, right? And it's changing the tech we use every single day. I mean, think about something as simple as chatbots. But here's the thing. The way we build them has gone through this crazy transformation, and it tells a really fascinating story about where AI itself is headed. So let's just start with a question I think we can all relate to. Why are chatbots so frustrating? Come on, you've been there, right? You're stuck in that endless loop, repeating yourself to a bot that just does not get it. Yeah, the gap between what's promised and what we actually get has always been, well, huge. We're sold this idea of a helpful, super intelligent assistant, but what we end up with is usually just a rigid script that can barely understand a simple question. And that gap, right there, that's the core problem developers have been wrestling with for years. How do you build something that's not just smart, but also reliable? So, how are we finally starting to close that gap? Well, to get it, we've got to rewind the clock a bit and look at the one big problem that plagued every single early chatbot. For the longest time, the original sin of chatbots was super simple. They just didn't have enough data. I mean, think about it. For an AI to learn how to have a useful conversation, like actually booking a flight for you, it needs to see thousands, even tens of thousands of perfect examples. But that kind of high-quality data, it was incredibly rare and super expensive to make. And that scarcity problem is exactly what led to our first big breakthrough. It came from a 2021 research paper that proposed this really clever idea called the conversation graph. And what I love is the analogy they used to explain it. They said, to train better drivers, you first need a better map. So picture the early AI as like a student driver. It only knows a few specific routes, because that's all the training data, the maps, it's ever been given. And that's the limitation, right? A single conversation in a dataset is just one straight linear path. A user asks for a hotel, the bot asks for dates, the user gives the dates. It's just a straight line. It's not flexible at all. You'd literally need millions of these conversations to cover every single possibility. So the researchers asked this one brilliant question that changed everything. What if we connected them all together? And that is the magic of the conversation graph. Instead of seeing a bunch of separate roads, it finds the common intersections, the points where different conversations overlap, and it stitches them all together into one massive, interconnected map. So from just a few hundred real conversations, the AI could suddenly explore this giant map and generate thousands of brand new, totally valid training routes for itself. It's genius, right? Okay, but did it actually work? Oh, absolutely. This whole technique of basically letting the AI create its own new training data, it boosted the success rate of these chatbots by up to 6.4%. Now I know, 6.4% might not sound like a game changer, but believe me, in the world of AI research back then, that was a huge leap forward. But here's the plot twist. Just as researchers were getting really, really good at building these incredible maps, the entire landscape of AI got hit by what I can only describe as a technological tsunami. And that tsunami? It was the arrival of large language models, LLMs. And almost overnight, all the old problems, they just didn't matter anymore, because a brand new and much trickier problem had just shown up. You see, LLMs had this incredible duality. On one hand, the promise was just, wow, unprecedented fluency, amazing reasoning skills right out of the box. But on the other hand, this power came with massive danger, hallucination. These models could confidently just make stuff up. And that is a total deal breaker for a chatbot that needs to, book an actual flight or give you correct information. Suddenly, the problem wasn't a lack of intelligence anymore. It was a lack of control. So this brand new problem needed a totally new solution. The whole challenge just pivoted. It wasn't about generating more data to make the AI smarter anymore. Now it was all about teaming this incredibly powerful, but kind of dangerously unreliable new kind of intelligence. Which means we have to update our analogy. We're not dealing with a student driver anymore. Oh no. Now you have a Formula One driver. Brilliant, ridiculously fast, capable of doing amazing things. So your new job isn't to teach them how to drive. It's to give them a pre-approved map and one very, very clear rule. Do not go off-road. And that, right there, is the core idea behind a brand new 2024 approach called CTS-LLM. That same dialogue graph, it's not being used to create data anymore. Now it's being used as guardrails. An expert designs a map of all the valid, correct conversation paths, and the super powerful LLM is basically forced to stick to it. This ensures it always stays on a safe, reliable track to get the user what they want. And the difference is just staggering. Think about the training time. The old way could take up to 7 days. The new way? It's zero shot. It's ready instantly. The core weakness went from being too slow and inflexible to the risk of hallucination. And the fix for that? It wasn't more data. It was the graph as guardrails. All right, so let's zoom out for a second and just put this whole incredible journey together so we can see the full evolution of how we're building smarter and safer chatbots. It really just boils down to this. Back in 2021, the big problem was data. We just didn't have enough smart training examples. And the solution, ConvGraph, was all about creating more of it. Fast forward just a few years to 2024, and the problem is completely different. Now it's control. We need to safely guide these incredibly powerful AIs. And the solution, CTS LLM, is all about creating guardrails for that power. So when you put it all together, the whole quest for a better chatbot has completely pivoted. We went from trying to build a better map for a student driver to building a much safer car with really strong guardrails for a world-class F1 driver. And this leaves us with a really fascinating question that honestly goes way beyond just chatbots. As these AI systems get exponentially more powerful, what's the real challenge ahead of us? Is it still about building more raw intelligence? Or is it about getting much, much better at building the guardrails to safely control it?